I'm going to start recording. So welcome everyone. Again, if you're just joining us, thank you so much for hopping on this call and learning about lead generation. I think this is a big thing for a lot of us creatives, self-employed entrepreneurs, business owners, and it's even really good for us to know because we have clients that we want to help as well. So if we can understand this for our own business, we're going to be able to also help our own clients with this as well. And this is a massive thing that I've noticed as well, that my clients, when they don't know how to do lead generation, I'll do some amazing branding, even some great brand strategy, and it will fall flat if they don't have good marketing and lead generation too. So the more we can understand it for our own business and get in our own leads, we're going to be able to serve our own clients that much better. So again, if you're just joining us, welcome, and make sure that you put yourself on mute just during the presentation so you don't, and no background noises come up. So I'm going to be sharing my screen. I had to make some reminders to get a co-host and record. So we're going to talk about finding leads even when you don't have much of a social following. And I think that was one of the big things that I wanted to make a point about, that you don't have to have a social following to find leads. You also don't have to be a pushy salesperson to find leads either. And so that's what we're going to be talking about today. So you're probably here, and I want you guys to be also replying in the chat. So feel free to open up the chat box and reply. Brad's going to monitor the chat. But I'm going to be asking you some questions and having you reply in there too. And then we'll also have a Q&A at the end of the call. So you're probably here because you want more clients or customers. So if you sell a product, you want more customers, and most likely if you are service-based, which I think a lot of you guys are, you'll definitely want more clients. So we all want more clients, right? We want better clients. We want the pick of clients. We want to pick from a big well of clients and then to only choose the ones that we know will fit really well with us. Because if we don't have enough leads coming in, that means we're going to be really desperate for whoever walks through that door. We do not want that, because then we're going to end up lowballing. We're going to take less than what we really should and what we deserve and what the value of the project is. And then you set yourself up to potentially be an order taker. I mean, there's so many things that can go wrong when we don't have the pick of having a lot of leads. The other thing, you're most likely tired of all the things that you have tried and they have not worked. I know I have done so many things for lead generation that have not worked, and it's getting old, right? So you might also, hopefully, since you're here, you're willing to learn new ways of generating leads. So I'm going to be sharing what I feel is one of the best ways I found to generate the leads. There's so many ways of doing this, but I'm going to share with you what I find is the best way. So you may want to take notes. Again, I will be sending this out to you guys later. So the goal here, the main goal, is to attract leads like bees to honey. That's what we want to do. And I want to talk about also the fact that you've probably heard this before, but I'm going to show you how to avoid talking about yourself when you're reaching out to leads or trying to attract the leads, and to make it about them. So make it about the problem or the goal that your ideal client is having. It's not about your service. And it's really easy to end up talking about your service and you don't even know it. So I'll give you some examples with that too later on. But there are times when we actually will create content or we'll reach out to leads and we don't even realize that we are talking about our own service, our own product. And you don't think you are, but you really sometimes are. And I'll show you when that happens and how to make it more about them. Because when we can show them that we care and we have empathy towards what they're going through and we understand, they will then believe and understand that we have a solution to their problem. And then again, if you guys are not on mute, I think there is someone that came in that isn't muted yet. So let's talk really quick about outbound versus inbound marketing. Can you guys put in the chat if you have heard of this before? So just put a yes in the chat if you've heard of this, and then Brad, let me know what the consensus is. So have most people.
All yeses.
Yes, good. Okay. Okay, good. I wanted to make sure that if anybody doesn't know what this is, we would go over it. But just for if there is one person that doesn't know, outbound is hunting. You're going out and you're finding the lead, and you're going after them. It has to do with, sometimes you do advertising, but the main idea is it's prospecting. It's going out and it's finding them. So with outbound, and I have a little twist on this whole thing too. So with outbound, you may be thinking, but I'm introverted, because I've noticed that a lot of the people that are either on my email list, are in my Facebook group, connected to me, the majority are introverts. And they would also consider themselves as not outgoing. So they're not only just get the energy from being alone, but they also are not outgoing. They don't feel comfortable meeting new people, and completely understandable. I'm the same way. Reaching out to people feels really sleazy. That might be what you think of when you think of outbound. Cold outreach email is not for you. So that might be something else you're thinking, or just reaching out to people you don't know at all might feel really gross to you. So there are some problems with outbound. I'm sure you guys already know. It comes off too pushy. It can be expensive if you're just investing in ads. You may repel more people than you actually attract, and you waste time and money. So then there's inbound. And I'm actually not going to take a side with either of these yet, but inbound is where you attract people. And this is a lot to do with content. So when I talk about content, it's making videos, it's making blogs, posts, social media, anything to bring the client to you. And SEO is also a way. So if you are writing articles that meet or answer a question that your ideal client is looking up, that would be then attracting them to you. You could also, I've heard of people write something on their shirt and says, "Ask me how I lost weight." That's also, it's almost like a billboard, but it's another way to attract people to you. And so this is stuff I was thinking. So I'm assuming you guys might have thought this too. When you think about inbound marketing, you might not know what to create. So you don't know what content, blogs, videos, posts to actually create, or nothing you already have created has gotten you anything. Like there's no traction. You're putting out stuff, you're posting on social media. You have written blogs, you've even tried video, and nothing is really giving you any results. And you keep hearing people say like, create content, content, content. It's all about content, inbound marketing and attracting people, but you're just not getting that momentum that you want. You don't want to waste the time creating something that nobody cares about. So there are problems with inbound marketing as well in creating content. Your content may be hard to find. So you might have gold. You might have really, really good information that your ideal client wants, but they just can't find it. Nobody may be searching for what you are actually creating. Maybe it's not even what you're creating. It could be how you're saying it and the messaging that you're using around that content. You also may not be speaking your ideal client's language. So the way they describe their problem or their solution, it just might be a disconnect. Communication is so important in relationships and business, and we just might be just slightly off from how they describe what they're going through or what they need or what they want. And you might even be creating something that's not that valuable to your ideal client. So you could be putting out things, if you are trying inbound marketing, you are trying content creation, that nobody really values. So how would you even know that? So here's the key. This is what I have come up with of what actually I believe works. And it's actually both, but it's a mix. It's a mix of both. And I'm going to walk you through what that's going to look like. For this to be working really well for your marketing strategy, I believe even if you end up doing solely inbound marketing and content creation, I believe that there has to be some outbound at the beginning, because this will create a conversation between you and your ideal client. And if you're an introvert and if you are not outgoing, you most likely are not having enough conversations with your potential ideal clients, your leads, your customers that you need to understand how do they talk, what do they describe as their problem, how do they describe it, even if, let's say that you do branding, you do logos and identity, and you have the solution, well, they might think they might not even realize that branding is the solution yet. They might have this other weird problem, or the way they describe it, or what's going on in their business. And you're thinking, yeah, branding will totally help with that. But they can't see the connection yet. So it's almost like you have to talk their language first, so that they get that you understand them. And then they'll walk with you on this journey all the way to the solution. So that's where I believe that the outbound part is going to come in, where you have a conversation. Because right now, no one may be searching for what you're creating. You may not be speaking their language, and you may be creating something that's not valuable. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So here's a breakdown really quick of the sales process, just an overview. So first, you're going to target. So this is the outbound part. We're going to actually target a specific type of person. We're going to find them. We're going to talk to them. Then we're going to attract them. That's the inbound part. So first, we're going to find them. We're going to talk with them. We're going to get to know them. And then we're going to create something that leads them to us. Then there's other parts of the sales process that I won't be going over today, but that is, once you actually have those leads, you're going to cultivate that relationship with them, and then you convert them into the sale. So those two things I'm not going to be talking about. I'm only going to be talking about targeting and attracting. So outbound and then inbound. Because we have to learn how to understand our audience and put the right message in front of them. Because right now, if you're creating content and you're not getting anything back, you're just falling flat, most likely it's because you're not putting the right message in front of the audience, or you're not getting in front of the right audience. So just a heads up, again, we're not selling. So banish selling from your mind. You are serving right now. You are serving your clients. You are serving people. Remember, I think sometimes as an introvert that wants to hide behind her computer and not talk to anybody, I only think in terms of selling, and there's people and this business, but I don't actually think that it's a human connection. It's a relationship. Business is about relationship and about serving. So banish selling from your mind right now. We're not even going to think about that. We're only thinking about serving and putting value and giving value to the right people. Because those people need to be somewhat qualified, because eventually we do want them to do business with us. So first, we're going to talk about outbound marketing. So this is the first step, target. That's what we're going to do first. So I'm going to give you a step-by-step process that you can actually follow to do those first two steps of getting those leads in. So first, you're going to identify your target audience. People, and I know that creatives do this too, we don't want an ideal client. We don't want just one person we're targeting. We don't want a niche, because we want options. Well, in marketing, your brand doesn't have to be niched. If you don't want it to be, that's fine. What I want you to do right now for this exercise, if you go through with this, to pick someone at this moment that you are going to target, you're going to market to. You can market to 10 different types of people eventually. That is fine. So you don't have to worry about pigeonholing yourself. We're just going to start with one though. So if you can connect with one type of person, one type of audience really, really well, you know how to do that, then you can repeat the process with as many different types of clients as you want. So start here. Identify your target audience. What are their demographics? What are their psychographics? So that's attitudes, mindset, belief system, culture. So actually nail that down. Think of the type of person you want to work with. If you do have a service-based business, think about your ideal client you've already worked with, or make them up. What would that person be like? List that out and make a persona of that person. So you really want to know who it is you're targeting. And I would suggest that when you're doing this profile, that you actually know someone who fits this persona, or you have 2-degree separation from them. So let's say that your friend Jane, you know that Jane has a bunch of people that she's friends with at her co-working space that are in startups. So you know at least that you have a connection to, if say someone who's a founder of a startup is your ideal client, you know that you could have a connection to them. So either you know them personally, it's 1 degree of separation, or you know someone who knows that person or type of person. You have a pretty good idea. That's what I would suggest. So get that person in your head, write the persona, What do they want? What are their goals? What are their problems? You can assume some things, but I would just outline it to the point where you can find them. So I'll give you some examples. Moms who homeschool their kids. I had to do this one time for one of my friends / clients for a project, and I'll show you what happened there. But so that was a type of person I was looking for. So that was the audience. Another one of my Facebook group members, she was looking for Arabic instructors and professors. She has connections to that type of audience. Or there's real estate agents in Southern California, because you want to also, if you can, and if you have like a certain demographic as far as where these people are located, it's good to put those kind of boundaries on it. You don't have to, but it is a good idea to think about that. So these are the types of demographics I would list out, or how you would describe your audience. You don't have to go into complete detail, because at the moment you may not know fully what they're going through. So what we want to do is at least get an idea of who are they, so we know where to find them, because we're still in that outbound step. So the second step in targeting, in outbound, you're actually going to go out and you're going to connect with this target market. And this is the easier part versus cold calling, cold emailing. This isn't cold. You already know this person, or you know someone who can introduce you to that person. It is so much easier to talk to people that way. If you say, either you ask your connection, you say, hey, do you know anyone that fits this description? Could you reach out to them and make an introduction? I'd love to ask them some questions. I'm working on some things, resources for them that could help them in what they're doing. However you want to put it, but you can then get an introduction to that person. So it is so much easier than doing cold outreach. And you already have that warm connection. So you either can ask the person for the email, you can ask them to introduce you, however you want to do it. Or if you actually know this type of person, just reach out to them, because someone who knows, likes, and trusts you is much more open to be doing this. And even if you get an introduction to someone, that person already has built-in trust because they were connected from the other person. So you can reach out to, and I'll show you an example of what I've done. You can reach out to your Facebook friends. You can reach out to your LinkedIn connections, your past coworkers, your past clients, your family. So I've heard of people hating, and I hate this too, with like the network marketing companies, that they will just go to every single one of their Facebook friends and pitch them on whatever business or service that they're doing, and they don't filter. Like, they don't even think about the person that they're talking to. And it's like, I don't want those things that you're selling. I don't even use that type of product. And you burn so many bridges that way. But this way, if you are targeted and you are targeting this type of client, then you're already filtering, and you're saying pretty much, hey, I want to create something. I want to create resources that are going to help you get to your goal. And I'm trying to find this type of person because I want to help them. I want to help them get to what where they're going, or to solve the problem that they're dealing with. So it is much different than when we think of like the sleazy ones that reach out to literally anyone and everyone of their friends, and it's like just blasting it out. Don't do that. This, again, very targeted. So this is something I did, and I wanted to show an example from before I had a following at all, that I did the same thing for my friend, because she was creating resources for people who homeschool their kids. So I thought, well, I have a lot of people in my network that I could ask. So you could even ask your friends to ask their network. So I asked in a local group that I'm in, and I also asked just on my feed. And I would suggest you actually targeting people and messaging them personally, because you'll most likely yield a lot better results there. But I got, just in one day of really quick blasting this out, I got more than 15 answers, of in-depth answers and I'll show you the questions I asked too, of what kind of problems were they having? Why did they start in homeschooling their children? What fears do they have? So that I could understand get in their minds and be empathetic to what they're going through and how they describe their problem. Not how I assume it is, but how they describe it. So that was before I ever had a following. I utilized my current network. Now, if your network is extremely weak, then start with who you know. Just start with one type of client that you'd be like, I could probably work with that type of client. If it's a real estate agent, if it is, if you sell a product, think of one person that might even be just close enough that would potentially want to buy that product and go talk to them. So this is like doing market research. So you're going to ask them a few questions, hopefully in a private conversation. If that's a DM, hop on a call with them. That's always really good. Record the call if they'll let you, to understand, again, the language that they use might be just slightly off from how you would have described it, and that's going to make worlds of difference. So you're going to ask questions. Well, these are questions I asked, but I would actually tailor it for whoever you're talking to and the type of because not everyone has a problem. It might be that they're trying to reach a goal. So I know some of my clients have fashion brands too, and that's like, it's not necessarily going to solve a problem, but it might, or it might get them to a specific goal because they want to look a certain way and they want to feel a certain way. So I would actually tailor these questions depending on who you're reaching out to. I would try to go in with no assumptions. And it was really cool because one of my Facebook group members, she did this exercise with the Arabic instructors and professors. And I had asked her, did you have assumptions when you went into these, market research conversations of what you thought people would say? And she goes, yeah, I actually was going to make a freebie, and it was going to be about how to find your ideal client or something along those lines. And she goes, what she got back was so opposite of what she thought they needed. And she was just amazed that it was so different than what she had assumed they needed. So she could still solve that problem that they had said and lead them to whatever it is that will truly solve the bigger problem that's going on. So things I asked were, why did you start? What's the hardest part? And this was for the homeschoolers. And what's your biggest fear? Because I felt that if I was able to understand and articulate that and be empathetic to that, then they would understand that, oh, she's here to serve me, and whatever she's going to provide me with, or actually my friend was, that it's going to be of value. So experiment with different questions. Remember that great questions yield great answers. So if you're not getting great answers back, it's most likely because your questions aren't good. And remember, this is about them. Has nothing to do with your service right now. Now, you might want to ask questions that kind of touch upon the area of your service, but it's not about your service at all. So if we're talking about branding, and I'm trying to attract certain businesses, I might target someone who's having to change their name because they're having trademarking issues. I actually had some clients come to me because of that. So you can find those people out there. It's probably harder to find. But there's also just generally, if we are in branding, we're helping businesses. Well, businesses have certain types of problems. So what's one problem that we could potentially give resources to or help them that would get them closer to maybe a rebrand? Or maybe they're not getting their right ideal clients. So maybe their marketing's off. So helping them with marketing first, and then potentially leading them to branding if needed. So these are some types of answers. One lady even went to her group, her homeschool group, and she actually asked all of her friends in there to give her answers. So this would have been such a great place then to give value, and already had an in. It's like you're trying to find an open door to your leads. And this is what we're doing. We're trying to find that open door. Someone goes, yes, I have this problem. Please, can someone help me with this? That's what you want. You want to talk to enough people where you have someone that's like, yes, I cannot find my ideal client. I'm getting paid $200 per project, and I can't find people who want to pay more than that. That you're going to find people that have problems, and they're going to articulate it in a certain way that you can potentially help. So this is an experiment. You're going to want to test this out. You're going to want to change how you ask these questions. You might run into some roadblocks, and that's okay. Keep having conversations. Keep trying to understand, and write down and record as much as you possibly can about how they describe their problem. So we're going to talk about attracting. So we already targeted. Let's say we targeted, you got all your information. I would put a goal on how many people you want to answer that as well. I would do it high. I would go really high. In my Facebook group, we try to reach out to 100 people a month. And I know that might sound like a lot, but as you get into this, one person, like let's say you're trying to attract if we're going back to the homeschool example, you're trying to attract that type of person. Or I'll use another example of entrepreneurs. You have one entrepreneur that you find that gives you amazing answers. Then you ask them, hey, do you know anyone else that also is dealing with this similar issue? Then that person opens up a door. Then you keep asking that same question, and before you know it, you have a list of 50 to 100 entrepreneurs that will give you extremely good insights into what they need. So it's almost like it's like a link, like you're using the first one to open you up to the next one, because really that is that's the basic way social media works. It spread. And we're just doing this on a much smaller scale before we build that social following. If that's where you are right now, you have to do it person to person. It's not this impersonal thing. I think a lot of people, maybe I'm assuming too much, but before I had a following, I thought, I'm going to have a following. And I didn't think of it as these personal relationships that I'm going to have. And I've realized that now that I have a following, I'm actually highly engaged in talking to so many people through DMs and comments, and I actually get to know them. And that's how it's going to be. When you do get a big following, it's going to be that you know them so well and you know how to talk to them, and they get you and you get them. That's what it's going to be like. So we have to start first doing that in our current relationships and how we reach out to the initial people that we are getting in as leads. So what you're going to do with attracting, you're going to take all those answers from that research and you're going to create a quick, valuable solution to the problem. So that could be through what we call a lead magnet. So think of like attracting, you want to attract the leads. So we've called that a lead magnet. You might have heard that online. It's going around so much in the marketing space, especially with inbound marketing. So what is the first step that they could take towards solving that problem to give them a quick win? Doesn't have to be long. It doesn't have to be like, don't go overboard with this. It is just to get them the quick win. What is the one thing they could do? So I love Resourceless. I think a lot of people are attracted to those. You could do whatever issue they're having. It could be a resource list of books, useful websites, podcasts. You could do guides, quizzes, templates, life hacks, tips, checklists. So if someone's having issues with productivity, then you can put together the top life hacks to be more productive. And you can you don't have to come up with this on your own. You're a problem solver. So if you are an entrepreneur, if you are self-employed, you have to be a problem solver. So how you look at this problem and you think, how could we solve this? And you go out and you research and you find the top resources. You don't have to be the one writing them. You can just be the curator. So you don't always have to be the one creating these ideas of how do I solve this problem. Most likely someone else already has, and you can go pull that. But you're going to be doing the heavy lifting for that potential lead and the people you're serving. And you're going to say, hey, I heard you had this problem, and this is what I made for you. So if you're talking about busy entrepreneurs that want to listen to podcasts, but they just don't have time, what if you listed the top podcasts, but then put the number one episode that would be most helpful for them and just had a link to it? You could do that. You could do a summary. I know that the people who do book summaries on YouTube, they get a following so fast because nobody wants to read an entire book. So then if you were curating that, it would just be all entrepreneur books. And so then it would be attracting entrepreneurs. And then you would know, who do I actually send this to attract them? Because you don't want to send it, to everyone, but you want those actual leads that will want it. So quick side note, public service announcement, most lead magnets fail. They fail bad. They're boring. Nobody cares because we're going back to the initial list. You're not speaking, maybe it's not you. They're not speaking the ideal client's language. Nobody cares. Maybe it's too closely related to the solution. So again, the client doesn't feel heard, or the customer, they're just like, you don't get me. Like, I don't even know what you're talking about. Like, ideal client, finding my ideal client. They're like, I don't even know. I'm just not getting leads. I'm not getting enough leads. They can't connect the solution to what their problem is. That's why we need to have a conversation. So the more tailored to your audience that you can make these things, the better. So that's why we want to talk to them. So here's an example I just thought of. I have a yoga studio client that offers free childcare. And so they're targeting moms. And I was thinking through this, like, what would we create for content as a lead magnet for them? So I think of my friends. I have tons of friends who are moms who literally just want a quiet place to rest. So they will go to gyms. They'll join gyms that have childcare. They will find a room, like a cycling room that nobody's using, and they will literally have quiet time. They won't even work out. The mom will just sit there in silence. So I'm thinking of my yoga studio client who's offering free childcare, who, they want to help this mom have this time for herself and to focus on the self-care. So a thing that they could attract leads in and get emails from could, let's just say, like 5 local places you can get a few minutes of solitude. So that's something really quick that I thought of, and that could just be a super quick list. What's nice about this for them is if it's a local area, then they're also sharing the love with all the other local areas. So they could post this on their Instagram. They could post this in email. They could send it out if they're talking about, if they're listing out other places that are actual establishments. They could tag them. They could send them an email and say, hey, we mentioned you in our most recent email. Just wanted to let you know. And that type of community building is so good for everyone's business. The more that you can share in the love with the followers and the tagging and sharing resources and people, the better. I think a lot of times we create content in vacuums and we don't want to link out to anyone. We think like, oh no, it's competition. But really it's just creating a very, very, very tight and solid network when you do that. So that was an example I had thought of. So the other steps in the attracting and the inbound marketing is get feedback, adjust your whatever thing you're creating for them that's going to help them, adjust it per the feedback that you're getting. So go back to the original people and say, hey, so remember that thing we were talking about? I actually created this resource that's going to be free. Can you look it over? Is this really helpful for you? Do you like this? And get their feedback on it. Maybe they'll mention something else that you forgot. Maybe they'll ask a question that you need to answer in there. Then send that original freebie once you have like sign-offs from the people that you had originally reached out to. This is where you can then blast it out to that audience, because now you know them, you know where to find them, and now you can blast it out. So this was similar to that Twitter. So you guys are here because you read the email that I had sent about my Twitter blast, and I got a ton of leads from that. But then I realized it was because it was for a specific audience, and it was something I knew they would want. And this is the same thing you guys can do. So once you have this down and you have an actual lead magnet that people want, then you can start blasting it out and asking the people that you originally talked to share it. Say, hey, if this was helpful for you, would you mind sharing it with another person that you know is having a similar issue? Ask them for that. Call people to action, and they will take that action. And then, I had said, ask them if they know one person who might find that lead magnet helpful. I want to say this note, and then I want Brad, let me know if there's any questions in the chat that I should.
Yeah, we got 2.
Yeah, let me know what's going on.
Okay. First of all, I'm very bad with names because I'm in Egypt. So this one from Kishna. Hope I pronounced it right. She's saying, is the Facebook group still open to join? Because you mentioned, I think the circle group or something.
Oh, the Inner Circle group is, it's my Facebook group. It opens enrollment every 3 months. So I open for applications every 3 months, and that should open in July. I cap it at a certain number. So I'll open it if there's room. Does that answer?
I think so, but hopefully she can tell us in the chat if it didn't.
Great.
Okay, and the other one, super interesting, from Sherry. She's saying, how do you approach my target retired women who are not on social media and resistant to it.
Okay. So if you are targeting people who are not on social media at all, then it is going to be a more work for you, because how I would ask you, one, how are they going to find you? So first I would actually have sit down conversations with these people. I would go out, I would call them, I would have meetings with them. So it's going to be a lot more work for you if they're not on social media. And then I would ask them, where do you go to find a solution to this problem? So if they're not on social media, where are they going? That could potentially be they're Googling stuff. So which means that as you create these things, you can be personally emailing all of these lead magnets while you're building relationships. That's totally fine. You don't need to set up any sort of mail list right now. You can just send personal emails to people and send this lead magnet. So that's what I would suggest if they're not on social media. But I would also ask them, where do you go to solve this problem? So that you can later on work on, maybe you have to work on SEO and how to attract leads. But at the beginning, just develop one-on-one relationships with them, however they communicate best. Was there any more?
Okay, yeah, we got one just right now, because I said something. I answered the last question. I told her that you probably need to do a field research, which is exactly what you were saying, but you elaborated on it. So a follow-up question was, do you tell people that you're doing field research, and how do you avoid sounding like you're trying to sell them something by asking these questions?
Yeah, you could. I've heard of people say, hey, I'm not selling anything. I just need to ask you some questions. If there's someone that knows you, they're probably not going to feel like, as just don't sell them anything, but they're not going to assume that. You can just say, hey, I'm trying to create free resources that will help this type of person. And can I just ask you some questions? Would this be helpful? And so far, the people in my inner circle Facebook group that have tried this, and when I've tried it, nobody has been resistant. The only time we've had resistance is when we're reaching out to people that we have absolutely no connection with. That's when we're hitting like nobody replies or they brush us off because they don't know us. And so they're worried that we're trying to potentially sell them something, or that they're going to waste their time with us. So that's where I've seen we're running into issues, is reaching out to people we don't know. Was there any others?
And I think, the point is, like, when you can say, I'm not selling anything, that gets the situation so much better. There's one, but I think it's a misunderstanding, saying you mentioned to be a sort of service, and lead magnets don't work. What's the alternative? But I think here you mentioned that it doesn't work because of like it's bad.
Right. Yeah. So you might have, if you came in late, you might have missed part of it. Lead magnets in general are amazing. They're really good, but most of them fail. And that's what I was saying, that we're trying to create lead magnets that are good and that are actually valuable and helpful. And so I'm still on board with lead magnets. I highly suggest doing them. I just suggest doing them only if you have research to back it up and if you actually are solving a problem. So thank you for bringing that up. So we'll save, Brad, we'll save any questions for just a little bit. So just to let you guys know, you don't call it a lead magnet to whoever, when you have it on your site, or if you're sending it in an email, you want to call it whatever it is. So if it is a resource guide for the top 10 places to get a good coffee when you're busy, and or like the shortest line, best coffee, shortest line for busy people, like busy entrepreneurs who love coffee. And you give, this is what time they open. This is when their shortest line is. This is the best coffee to order. I'm just making this up right now, but you can call it specific to whatever it is. So don't call it a lead magnet. That's just like behind the scenes. Some pro tips: make sure you follow up with all your leads. So you can do this. I suggest using something like HubSpot. You can use Streak. Streak actually integrates with Gmail, so you can track all of these people that you're reaching out to and when you need to follow up with them. And this is going to help get you in the process and the system of actually reaching out to leads, because it's actual salespeople and people who do the one-on-one relationship building, like they have a funnel and they have their leads listed out and they'll follow up with them at a certain time. So this will really help you start understanding how to do that and do outreach, but again, to people that you know. So you can start following up with them. I would also, once you validated, so this is the whole idea, we're validating our lead magnets. We're validating these free resources and value. No matter if you're a product business, no matter if you're a service business, you can do this. I think of like dog walkers. There's so many lead magnets that you can do for dog walkers. I was also trying to think of lead magnets for my own clients who sell specific type of products too. So this can work. You can help suggest these types of things for your own. You can teach this whole process to your own clients or say, hey, if you want me to do the research for you, and you can charge them for that. So after you've validated these lead magnets, start posting the lead magnet on your social platforms. If you have a business account, again, if you're doing this for your clients, then it would be through their business accounts. I would experiment on different platforms. I would test this out. This is something that is like a science experiment. Like, here are the steps to do it. And you need to alter things as you go. You're going to find stuff that doesn't work. You're going to find that you're going to say something that put someone off, or it was like, oh, I thought you were going to sell me something. So the next time you might want to say, hey, I'm not selling anything. I just have some market research questions that can I ask you, because I'm creating some free resources. And then you're going to want to capture the leads on an email list. So either that is in your Gmail and you have note of them in Streak, you're in HubSpot, maybe you do have something like MailChimp or ConvertKit, one of those systems. You don't have to. If you want to keep things just in your email for now, just don't send out mass emails via your personal email. But if you're doing individual, that's fine. Just use that for now, because you want to make sure that you're creating a good foundation to then grow from. And remember that the more you reach out, the better the results you're going to have. So to give you a quick idea, from 100 leads normally that are on a normal email list, like the ones where people send like updates and newsletters and whatnot, from that, usually 20% actually open the email and engage with it and click through and actually are engaged with the content. From that, if you're actually selling something, 10% of that 20% will turn into sales. So that's 2 people. So that means 2 people out of the initial 100 end up buying something. That's big, which tells me that we have to reach out to a ton of people. So if you're only reaching out to 10 people and you're expecting to get a client out of it eventually, probably not going to happen. That's not going to work. It's volume, but it's volume that is targeted. You want to make sure to target these people as best you can. So you're not going to find ideal clients all the time, but you need to find the pool, the social circle that they're hanging out with. If it's networking groups, if it's like moms groups, whatever you're looking for, you need to find where they hang out with, who they hang out with, and one person to get you in that door. So imagine it like it's a room, and that's just the social circle is hanging out in that room, and you just need one person to invite you in, just one person. And that's kind of how I like to think about that. So repeat as needed. Find a different target audience. If that one didn't work out for you, nobody's responding, no one's giving you good answers, you don't want to solve their problem, fine, put them aside, make a new target, go for that target, do it again, rinse and repeat, keep doing it. And something is going to stick really well. I guarantee that if you do this and you really put in the effort and you go through all the steps, but you refine your process, you will hit on an amazing group of people that you can serve and that you'll click with really well. It's when you stop short that things just fall apart. And I think I had issues with growing my own business when I did not do enough of this type of work to begin with. So when I just did a couple people, or I reached out to a couple clients and here and there and hoping that a magical project was going to land in my email, because I wasn't working on myself and I was not working on how to be empathetic to the right people and how to talk their language. I wasn't putting in the time to do that for them. And the more that I started doing that and talking their language and understanding their problem, it's like, it is crazy to think like people will knock down your door to be like, you can solve this problem. Tell me how, tell me everything. And they will want to hire you for that. So keep doing this. Do not give up. You will get results with this. So if you're up for the challenge, I really hope you are. I hope this has been super helpful for you, and we will do a Q&A in a few minutes. But go through all the steps, rinse and repeat, and keep altering it until you find something that works. Take note of what is working for you, what just did not work at all for you. Please take notes of that. I would love to hear how this worked for you. I would love to hear what your results are, and maybe things that like, hey, Melinda, this really did not work for me, but I found a better way. Please share that with me. I love to update my process too, the more that I hear from the results. So I'm trying to do the same thing. I'm trying to ask you guys, like, I'm giving you this and I'm saying, hey, can you try it out and give me feedback? So I'm practicing right now in this call what I'm preaching to you. So this is what in a larger scale than what I'm asking you to do, but it's the same idea. So I'm doing market research. I'm asking you, can you please tell me if this was actually helpful for you? Because right now I know your problem, which is lead generation. And now I'm trying to give you some kind of a solution that's free to help you work through it. So please email me your results. I love to hear how this has worked for you, how you changed it, how you updated it. I'm going to be offering some extra help. So if you want some personalized help through this and coaching through this, I'm thinking about this, if this is even going to be of value to you guys. I'm going to have a wait list for this, the lead gen basics course. So if you're having issues identifying that ideal target audience for you, reaching out to them. If you don't know how to craft those emails, or just reaching out initially with them, creating that lead magnet that actually connects with them, capturing those leads on some type of, if that's an email service, if that is just your email and how to organize that, and then cultivating that relationship with the lead. So I would take you a little bit farther into how to keep cultivating that relationship so that you keep connecting. So it's not just, here you go, here's the free stuff, and then you never get anything back. So I'm thinking about this being a 4-week course, that it's a 1-hour group coaching call once a week. So similar to this, but with only 10 people. So it's more individualized. We get to hear everybody's story. We get to hear how things worked for them. It's very similar to the Inner Circle Facebook group I have, but it would only be a short 4-week thing. So that's what I'm thinking of. If you want to join the wait list, once I get this going, go to my site, marksandmaker.com/get-leads. And sign up for the waitlist there. I'll be sending out more information. But if this sounds of interest to you, or if you think of something else, you're like, you know what, I would really love this instead, please email me and let me know. I'd love to hear your feedback on because it's for you. I want to make sure that it gets you guys to your goal. So I want to create something that you would like, and it would not just like, but get you results, right? So if you have another idea, let me know. Just do not overthink. Just put in the work. Just start this. Don't mull over too much. Like, ooh, should I say this? Should I not? Just put it out there and try. It's one of those things it's like, don't ask permission, just ask forgiveness. Just do it. Just go out there, try it. It's not as scary as you think. And you're going to create things that people love, and you're going to get things like the response like I got for that Twitter link that I sent. You're going to get that type of thing where people are like sharing it and sending it to their friends, and you're getting all these leads that you wouldn't before, or you didn't before. So now we can move into the Q&A. Brad, is there any other questions?
Yeah, we have some.
Great.
Okay, one from the last Q&A we didn't catch, from Markel. He's saying about niches. I work as a brand and logo designer for esports community and small businesses/brands. Both are different niches. Should I pick one, or can I still effectively speak to both audiences and serve both?
That's a great question. So I would take the approach of you can still serve both. I wouldn't try talking to both at the same time. I would create something specifically for one group, and I would create something else specifically for the other, because they will feel more known and heard. And if you need to, if you guys have heard of landing pages, creating a specific page on your website that you funnel that type of client to. So it might not be, don't funnel them to your homepage. If you have more than one client you're trying to attract, when you're reaching out to these people, you're sending out the link, then send them to a specific web page on your site that's talking to them in that language. So yes, you can still work with multiple, but talk to one at a time. Do you have any follow-up question? We can have you come.
But I didn't like. Let me see if she elaborated. No, Kishna is saying, is lead generation where we start? But I didn't understand exactly what is that. So,
okay, do you want to hop on and ask that question?
Yeah, that would actually be great.
Yeah, hop on and you said,
I mentioned, I told them to elaborate, but I didn't get a response.
Okay, if you're still on, you want to hop on. Is it Kishna? All right, well, maybe they're not available. All right, let's move on to the next one and maybe we can run back.
She's saying I can't right now.
Okay,
so, yeah.
Okay, that's fine. Let's, okay, thanks. Yeah, let's move on to the next one.
We're gonna elaborate via chat. So let's see the other one from Shuri. I'm going to develop a questionnaire for each client and we'll set up a lunch. First one-on-one, and then as a group of maybe 10 to be face-to-face. Most are lonely and want interaction. Thank you.
Oh, okay, so she's just
she was saying. And the other one from Sophia, she's saying that this was amazing, and she's thanking you. Let's see what else we have.
Great, yeah. I'm glad sounds like it's been helpful for you guys. Someone's asking about, I'm able to look at the chat now too. I record the call, so I'm just using Zoom to record this call. You guys can also, if you ever have calls, if you want to use Zoom, so you can use Zoom free. If you just have 2 people on the call, I think you can stay on the call for as long as you want. I believe you can record for free. It's when you have more than 2 people, they cut you off after 45 minutes. I'm seeing some head shakes, yes, from Chloe. Yeah, and it's not fun to get cut off at 45 minutes. So if you have more than 2 people, just be aware of that. But you can record from there. It's really convenient. And if you're out at coffee, ask them if you can record them, or you can just take really, really good notes. But if you can record, that'd be really good. Do you see any other questions? Or if someone has a really good question,
that's actually a very good one because I was struggling with this. What comes first, a strong lead-in or a strategy, or a strong portfolio / site to create reassurance?
So what's the first one? A strong lead-in strategy? What, like the lead magnet?
I think lead-in strategy, I think, meaning lead generation, yeah.
So here's my theory. You can get clients, I'm going to make a bold statement here. You can get clients without a great website. You can get clients with no website. And it's all about you and how much do people trust you? So the people that you're reaching out to, how much do they trust you? How much do they believe that you can actually solve their problem? I've heard of people hiring others. They never even looked at their website. I've had people hire me and never looked at my website because they came from such an amazing referral that they trusted. They're like, oh, well, this person obviously can solve my problem. And it's amazing to me that happens. But if they trust you and they understand that you are going to solve my problem, they usually don't care that much about the site. Now, that I can't say that's going to be all the time, but if you're worried about that, do not let your website stall you. Do not. You can start doing this right now.
Yeah, I'm actually that was actually stalling me. Like I mentioned to you in the email that I started creating these resources, like WooCommerce plugins for my clients, and I actually created like 15 of them with some instructions of how I optimize them and so on. But I was leaving them in Notion. I didn't touch them and didn't intend to publish them until I designed the website. But now I'm thinking about like publishing them, and then completing the website. Yeah.
Well, and here's an easy strategy too. Right now, you can send those out personally. So I'm giving you guys no excuse right now. You have no excuse to not send these out or to help and serve people.
Yeah.
So you can send it out personally. The other thing you can do, sign up for MailChimp and send them out in an email. So you can do that. You can do it for free up to 2,000 people on your list. So you can even create 5 different lists with 5 different opt-ins and ask people, and you can have a separate page, like a landing page through MailChimp. So you don't even have to have a website. You guys don't have to start there at all, but you can individually send these out and start creating that relationship with people before you have anything done. Chloe, you had a question. Did you want to hop on? Was it Chloe? Is there a point at which you reach critical mass? Can you explain more? Are you able to hop on? Yeah. Hi. Hey.
Hi. Yeah, thanks so much. So I guess my question is, because I am, as you suspected, an introvert, and so connecting with like hundreds, maybe thousands, maybe tens of thousands of people just sounds like a really exhausting endeavor. And so I'm wondering if, at least for you personally, there was a point at which when you were doing this, when you were utilizing the strategy, reaching out to people, asking questions, if there was a point at which you sort of reached critical mass and, it started doing work for you, right? Like it's a maybe multiplicative effect.
Yeah, that's a great question. Yes, you will find that. And you're going to find like, oh my gosh, I can't respond to all these emails, or I can't do this anymore. Then that is good. This is what you want. So in business, what happens? There are two things in business. What happens? You're either going to innovate or you're optimizing. So what happens is, this is innovation. We're starting something new. We're starting this new thing. We're reaching out. You're going to have so many people that you're going to start having an issue. Like you said, you're going to be like, I can't talk to all these people individually anymore. This is way too much. Then you're going to get to a point you're going to have to optimize. So you're going to ask yourself, how can I still reach out to these people, give them value, but still have their email still? That's when you might want to transfer them to an email list, and you might want to say to them, hey, I want to continue giving you value. I'm finding that the best way to be able to do that is if I do that through a weekly, whatever you want to, newsletter, or to get you on an email list. Would you, what's your best email so that I can sign you up? Or can I use this email to sign you up? And get people to take action and move them over to a more optimized system. So yes, you will. Or you can ask them, hey, I want to continue this conversation on Instagram. Would you like to follow me there? But I can't stress this part enough. Get their emails. The email list is the bread and butter of every business. That is it's like the salesperson's Rolodex, like their black book. That is your black book. So somehow get them over into optimize the system, and you're going to want to move them over into some kind of email system. And then I would also ask them to, because now you know them and you know what they need. So then I would ask them, hey, can you follow me over I'll be sharing more of this over on Twitter. And on Twitter, I'll update you when I post new blogs, or however you want to do it. But when you reach that critical mass, that's when you optimize and you say, okay, how can I do this, but way better and way easier? That's what I would suggest. Do you have any follow-up questions on that? No. Good. Thanks for that. That's awesome. Is there anyone else, or Brad, do you see any other good questions that we should bring them on? Okay,
I've missed something, but I'm not sure.
Is it Keshna's follow-up question?
I think so. What if people aren't opening these emails?
Great. So Keshna, remember, you're developing a relationship with them. So if they're not opening your emails, then there's something wrong with the initial relationship. You're either emailing people that you don't know, you're emailing people that don't care. So remember, I would email people. You want to find the one person that's going to open the door to the social circle, that circle of people you want. So if they're not replying or they're not opening your emails, move on to someone else, and something's wrong about who you're reaching out to. Is it that?
I think because she's saying after it, do you email them directly? So I think the question is after moving them to a list maybe and automating the whole process, mass emailing them, the response rate will go down or something. So
okay.
she's asking about personalizing it, I think.
Yeah, you could, thank you for clarifying that. It depends on your type of business. If you're a product business, you're going to want way more leads than a service-based business would. And so then you can't have one-on-one conversations necessarily with everybody. If you have a service-based business and you're sending these emails, then I would think about, you could potentially, some businesses only reach out personally. They do not put people on a big email list. And you could do that. And that's when people have to hire sales teams and have sales reps. You might want an intern at that point. So you can, if you have a service-based business, still email them directly. You can even put them over in your email service and then email them directly, like they opened a certain email. So email them directly, hey, was that helpful for you? Do you have any questions? So you can do a mix of both or stick with just emailing directly. Because yes, your email open rate is going to start going down the more the more that you have on there. Do you guys have any other questions before we go? We're at 10 o'clock, so we're hit an hour, but we can answer one more question if you guys have a good one. Was this helpful for you? Let me know. You can let me know in the chat. Yes, awesome. Okay, I want to make sure I'm creating helpful things as well. So good. Okay, good. Thanks, guys. Any last questions though before we go? You have a list, you're ready to go. So are you guys going, I hope you're going to accept this challenge of actually trying it. Yes? Okay, can I get a yes in the chat if you're going to do it? Say yes, please do it. Challenge accepted. Thank you. Awesome. Okay, so if you've accepted this challenge, I'm expecting to hear an email from you. So make sure to email me. You guys can just reply back to a newsletter. It's melinda@melindalivesey.com. It's hello@marksandmaker. You can find me anywhere. DM me on Instagram, whatever you have to do, you can find me. Please, please tell me how this worked. Update me. I have so many people accepting this. I'm so happy. You guys are awesome. Take action. Do not just consume information. If you are overwhelmed, it's because you're taking in too much information and you are not taking action. So make sure if you ever feel overwhelmed, it's because it's like eating too much and you're not exercising. So make sure to act, make sure to take action. Yeah, you're overwhelmed. Okay, then you better get action. You better start. So start today. Start thinking of that target audience. I know you guys can do it. You're going to have awesome results and you're going to tell me all about it, I hope. So I'm expecting a lot of people said yes. So thank you so much for joining this call. I hope this was of value to you. If you have anything else that you guys want to talk about, if you like these types of group calls, I think it went really well for having so many people on the call. I'm totally up for doing this again, so please email me. And if you guys want to connect, I don't know how we can do that very well. If you guys want to put in your links in the chat, feel free to. But I don't know how to get everyone connected here. But the more you show up on calls, and the more people can start getting to know you and finding you online somewhere. So yeah, so thanks for joining, and I'll have this recording to you guys at some point somehow. I most likely will also be sharing the PDF, the deck that I did. If I can make it cleaner and with like a checklist, I'll send that to you. Again, if you want to sign up for the wait list for that, if you need help actually moving through all these steps, then sign up for the wait list. That's at marksandmaker.com/get-leads. And I'll be sending more for that. And then, yeah, so you guys, if you've missed it, I'll send a recording. So thanks for joining. I'll see you guys on all the platforms that I'm on and in my emails and whatnot. So thank you so much for joining, and have a great rest of your day and night and whatever time it is where you're at. All right. Bye, guys. Thank you.